That thing I do. Trying to come up with a new show intro because I feel like yelling the name of the show at you guys every single time is probably getting a little obnoxious. I'll come up with something.
Poor Choices Kitchen.
We're making what I'm going to probably title this as grilled corn salad. It's actually really probably more like Esquites, which is just elote off the cob. But there are probably some esquite or elote aficionados out there who are gonna be like,
hey, we don't put that in our stuff.
I'm just mixing a bunch of shit up. I'm just being the fat American that I am, and I'm mixing a bunch of flavors that I like together. It's gonna be delicious. That's all that you really should be caring about. But we're gonna do some simple things today. We're gonna make our own type of chili mayo to go along with this mixture. I've got a lot of things diced up that we're gonna put into our grilled corn salad. And of course, we have our summer corn here. This is the perfect time of year to be getting said corn. So all we're gonna do is just take our corn, peel off our husk just like that. And sometimes it's cheaper to buy your corn like this than to buy it already husk off. And then I'm just gonna take as much of this as I can, but I'm not gonna obsess over, I guess you would call this the
little stringies?
Little stringies on the corn, because most of it's just gonna char off when we put it on the grill.
I believe that's actually the professional term for it too.
Stringies?
The little stringies on corn.
Nice. That is, I do remember seeing that on the Wikipedia page. We got our grill heating up right now to around 400 degrees. We just wanna get a good char on these. We're gonna start on our mayo, and we're gonna start out with just 2 eggs. And all we need for these eggs is just the yolk. So if you've never separated the yolk from the white, I will show you a cool little trick. So all we're gonna do is take the egg, give it a good crack, and then we're gonna keep that yolk in the shell, let some of that white go off. And then what I'm gonna do is switch it over to the other shell. Again, letting that white fall off. Switch it one more time. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to get the majority of that white off. And I think that's good. We'll do it one more time. Let's get a good crack. That bad boy in there, let that egg yolk drip out into our other eggshell. Oops.
And this is why egg whites cost more money in restaurants.
Right. There's someone in a factory doing this all day. And if you want, you can save these egg whites for breakfast. They're perfectly good. I mean, this is what your egg whites are. I don't have a use for them right now, so they're just gonna go off to the side here with my other mess. We got our egg yolks in there. To that, I'm gonna add some smoked paprika. Let's say about a teaspoon's worth. We've got some Dijon mustard. You can use stone ground mustard. I'm just going with Dijon because I have it. So we're gonna go about 2 teaspoons of that. Now, typically what you will put in a mayo if you're making it from scratch is like a white vinegar. I'm gonna use the acid from 1 lime because I'm just going with Mexican flavors. And also, again, I had this already. So I'm just gonna cut the lime in half, and I'm just gonna go ahead and juice that on in. Just for right now, just a little bit of salt to taste. We can adjust and put more in later, but I'm gonna call that good for right now. I use this word wrong all the time, but the most important part of this entire process is getting this mixture here to emulsify once we start adding the oil. Essentially, that's just making sure everything can mix. That's the easiest way to put it. You can Wikipedia and look up what emulsifying is. It's probably completely different from what I just explained. But this is a very, very important part. So I'm gonna try my best to show you guys exactly what I'm doing. So Louis, if you don't mind coming in here. So we've got this sexy looking Picasso shit going on in our bowl. And also you can do this in a food processor. A lot easier, but everybody doesn't have a food processor. What we're gonna do is take about a cup of grapeseed oil, or just use any type of neutral flavor oil that you have. You can use canola oil or even vegetable oil. I'm gonna slowly stream this in, and it's very important to continually keep whisking the entire time you're doing this. And again, this is where a food processor or an immersion blender would really come in handy, but everybody doesn't have that. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do it this way. And I'm talking about continuously stirring. And then what I'll do is probably about half this cup, just let it kind of come together. And you'll notice the difference of why it's important to keep whisking. So you see how it just thickened up there? Now, if I just start pouring oil in here, you'll see it kind of starts breaking up again. So that's why it's important to continually keep whisking, but also to pour this in here slowly. So now that I'm bringing that back together, I'm gonna work on this last half. I'm gonna kind of speed up my whisking. And through the magic of television, I will probably speed this entire thing up. But this would be some good ASMR for those of you who find it relaxing to make mayonnaise. All All right, let's get our last little bit of oil in here.
So do you think if you were to dump a whole cup in there at a time, you're able to whisk it enough to make it come together?
I don't think so, only because it will just stay separated and it'll never have a chance to kind of like bond. And then there's also the chance that like, maybe I could get it like this, but then like say the second I put it in the refrigerator overnight, the next day it's separated. So what we're gonna do right here is just taste it, maybe just a little bit more lemon juice. Sorry, I keep saying lemon. I wonder if it needs a little bit more lime juice. So I'm just doing a little bit in here. All right, let's try it one more time. That's exactly what it needed. I'm gonna let this sit in the fridge for a little bit. And I believe our grill is already preheated up to temp. So we can just take this corn up there and start getting it charred. Our grill is at about 500 degrees right now, between 400 and 500 is perfectly fine. Today I have it set up for direct cooking, which is probably what a lot of you may be used to seeing, which I'll open this up, maybe burp it. You're used to seeing, here's the grates, coals directly underneath it. If I want to set it up for indirect cooking, I would take some deflector plates and put it down there, and that would protect the food. I want to char this corn today, so I'm going directly over the coals. And they're not gonna take long. I'll check on these again in about 2 minutes, turn them over. And we don't want the entire corn black and charred, we just want some of it, because we still want it to look pretty. So I'm gonna give that just a few minutes. I'm gonna turn it over, and then probably after about a total of like 5 or 6 minutes, we'll take it back downstairs and we'll start getting ready to cut it off the cob. I say it's been about 7 minutes or so. We had some hot zones here, so I moved the corn around, but this is pretty much all the char we need. We got the pieces here that says, hey, we grilled it, and then we also have the other pieces that still look nice and untouched and unbruised and unblemished, or whatever you want to call it. But this is about the amount of charring that I want. If you want more, by all means, go for it. I just still want my pictures to look pretty, so you guys will click on more videos. So I'm gonna call these. Now comes the fun part, letting it cool down so we can actually cut it off the cob. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down and get this down. And this is probably gonna take about 10, 15 minutes before it's cool enough for you to touch. If you have like some thermal gloves, you may be able to do it sooner, but it's nothing wrong with letting it chill for a little bit. And then it's just easy to cut off the cob. So let's take it on down. Whilst, because I've been waiting to use that word for a long time.
Whilst
we wait for our corn to finish cooling down so we can cut it off the cob. I'm gonna make today's poor choice, which is just called ranch water. Very, very simple recipe. Because our corn is gonna have such complex flavors going on, no need to complicate things even further for our tongue. So I'm gonna start out with half of lime, and I'm just gonna squeeze that into my highball glass that I've already got some ice in. I've got some silver tequila. Feel free to use what you want, but we've been having this Malaga around, so I'm gonna pour about a shot's worth of that in there. A little bit more just for fun. There we go. We don't charge extra for that here. And then what really makes this ranch water is some Topo Chico. Did I say that right? Topo Chico?
Topo Chico.
Topo Chico. You can use club soda if you want to, but they say it's not really ranch water without Topo Chico. So we're just gonna fill it up to the top. Cheers to y'all. It's probably gonna be about another 5 or so minutes before we can start working on this corn, but then it's gonna fly. All we have to do from there is just mix everything up together. So cheers. Corn has cooled down enough for me to touch, and so it's really simple. What I've done is I picked off just any of the little pieces of stringly things, as Lewis scientifically called it, as much as I could that didn't completely char off. I've got a small bowl turned upside down into a bigger bowl. And the reason why is because it just becomes easier to cut this off and everything falls to the side. So we've got it off the cob. I just gave it a little mix up to break up some of the chunks that came off in larger sections. I wanna add a few things to it. First thing I'm gonna add is about half a cup of just some finely diced red onion as I flick it towards the camera. About half a cup of some finely diced green onion. Getting all the colors in here. And then I have got some serrano peppers, and all I'm gonna do is just as thin as I can, just dice these up, seeds and all. And I'm gonna start out with one just to see, one, how much it makes, and two, how hot this gets. Now, for the fun part, which is figuring out ratios of things. So I've got some Mexican crema, sour cream, and then I've got the mayo that we made earlier. So what I'm gonna do is starting out with about a half cup of each. 1-to-1 ratio is what I'm looking for. I'm gonna start with a half cup of our mayo, and then, because this is a lot more runnier than your average sour cream. And let's just give it a preliminary mix, just to see what we're looking like, because from here, maybe you wanna add some more I don't know. If you had some more corn, maybe you want to add that. Maybe you want to add more other vegetables. It's up to you at this point. But I think we got that right with the half cups of each. Let's hit it with a little bit of this Cattleman's Mexicano. You can use regular chili powder if you want to, but I'm just gonna top it with that. Cotija cheese, Mexican Parmesan. Really, really important in this recipe. So I'm gonna break off a piece like that. And then I'm just gonna do my best just to kind of crumble it in. And there's no certain amount. I'm really just going by feel. And I want big chunks, I want small chunks. I mean, if I had to guess how much I'm really gonna put in here, probably gonna be close to like a 1/4 cup of fresh cotija cheese. So we're gonna mix that up because maybe we need more, maybe we don't need it, we'll find out. And then last but not least, again, I said I was gonna introduce fat American flavors. Just some bacon. I got a whole pack of thick cut bacon in here that I am gonna put in here, which now makes it no longer Esquites, it just makes it something, an abomination maybe to some people. And now that we have got it mixed up, we gotta do a taste test. And I'm definitely gonna get some bacon on this spoonful. Honestly, ooh, definitely got the peppers in there. Ha, ha. Doesn't need any more spice. We can't use some lime juice though. I just wanna keep checking it. If it's too spicy, we could add some more crema in here, and then that'll help kind of cool it off some. I'm gonna put the rest of this cotija cheese in here. But after I crumble this, let's get this plated up, and then we will talk about what the hell we just did. Last things I did with this, I just garnished it with a little bit of cilantro. I added a little bit of tahini in there, but feel free to put whatever on top of it that you wish. I also did a little bit more cotija cheese and some lime, and that's it. Normally it's served in a styrofoam cup. I just made it look fancy for the thumbnail, but I am not above some styrofoam cup corn. So enjoy this. I am gonna dig in some more. And tell me what you guys think about my abomination of two cultures of type of food. And you know what? That abomination tastes so good. Yep, I'm gonna eat the rest of this. Poor Choices Kitchen, see you next week.